What really happened behind Park Jimin during that Weverse live? Was it just a shadow or something far more mysterious? Fans are still questioning everything. Hi everyone, but before we dive in, let me ask you something. What would you do if you were watching your favorite idol live, smiling, laughing, completely at ease, and then suddenly something appears behind them that no one can explain? Would you ignore it, replay it? Or would it send chills down your spine? Make sure you stay until the very end of this story, because what you're about to hear has left millions of fans confused, emotional, and even a little bit frightened. And if you notice something others didn't, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because your theory might be the missing piece everyone is searching for. It all started during what seemed like an ordinary live broadcast. Park Jimin, known for his warm presence and effortless charm, went live on Weverse greeting fans with his signature smile. The atmosphere felt calm, intimate, almost comforting. Fans from around the world tuned in, flooding the chat with hearts, messages of love and excitement. Nothing seemed out of place. Nothing seemed unusual, but then something changed. At first, it was so subtle that almost no one noticed. A slight movement in the background, a flicker of something that didn't quite belong. Jimin continued talking, completely unaware, laughing softly as he read fan comments. But behind him, just for a moment, something appeared. Was it a person? Was it a shadow? Or was it something else entirely? Within seconds, the live chat began to explode. Fans started typing frantically, asking if anyone else had seen it. Did you see that? What was behind him? Rewind. The mood shifted instantly from joy to confusion, from comfort to tension. Something had happened, and no one could explain it. Clips of the moment spread rapidly across social media. Fans replayed the footage again and again, slowing it down, zooming in, analyzing every frame. And the more they looked, the stranger it seemed. The figure didn't move like a normal person. It didn't behave like a simple shadow. It was there, and then it wasn't. Some fans believed it might have been a staff member accidentally walking into frame, but others quickly dismissed that theory. The timing felt too precise. The appearance too sudden, and perhaps most unsettling of all, Jimin showed no reaction whatsoever. How could he not notice? Was he pretending not to see it, or did he truly have no idea? As speculation grew, emotions began to rise. For many fans, this wasn't just a mysterious moment, it was deeply unsettling. The idea that something unknown could appear so suddenly, so quietly, behind someone they cared about, it created a wave of concern. Others, however, took a different approach. They saw it as a technical glitch, a trick of the lighting, a reflection, something explainable, something ordinary, but even they couldn't fully explain one detail: the shape. The figure seemed almost human, but not entirely. It lacked clear definition, yet it held a presence that was impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a blur. It wasn't just a shadow. It was something in between, and that's what made it so disturbing. As the video continued to circulate, theories became more intense, more creative, and in some cases more emotional. Some fans worried about Jimin's safety, questioning whether someone had been in the room without his knowledge. Others believed it might have been a deliberate moment, something planned, something meant to spark curiosity. But if it was planned, why wouldn't it be addressed? Why remain silent? The silence only made things louder. Hours turned into days, and still, there was no official explanation. No clarification, no acknowledgement, and in that silence the mystery grew. Fans began to connect dots that may or may not have existed. They revisited past lives looking for similar moments. They searched for patterns. They questioned everything. Was this the first time something like this had happened, or had it been there all along, unnoticed? What made this moment so powerful wasn't just the figure itself, it was the uncertainty, the inability to explain it. The way it lingered in the mind long after the video ended, because sometimes the most unsettling things are not the ones we can clearly see, but the ones we almost understand. And then came another twist. Some fans claimed that in certain versions of the clip, the figure appeared slightly different. The position changed. The movement altered, as if the moment itself wasn't fixed, as if it was shifting depending on how you looked at it. Was it just editing, or was something deeper happening? At this point, the story had evolved beyond a simple live stream moment. It had become an experience, shared by millions, interpreted in countless ways. A single frame of video had sparked global discussion, emotional reactions, and endless curiosity. And yet at the center of it all, Jimin remained the same, calm, unaware, smiling, which raises one final question: if something truly was there, why didn't he react? That question continues to echo through the minds of fans everywhere. Was it harmless? Was it intentional? Or was it something no one was meant to notice? As you think about what you've just heard, take a moment to revisit that scene in your mind. Imagine yourself watching it live, not knowing what was about to happen. Imagine seeing that figure appear for just a second and then disappear. Would you brush it off, or would it stay with you? Let me know what you think. Did you see the figure? Do you believe it was real, or just an illusion? Your thoughts might help uncover the truth behind one of the most shocking moments fans have ever witnessed. And remember, sometimes the biggest mysteries are hidden in the smallest moments. And just when many thought the mystery would slowly fade into the background, something unexpected happened. Fans began to notice details that had been completely overlooked in the first wave of reactions. What if that moment wasn't the only one? As the clip continued to circulate, dedicated fans started comparing different recordings of the same live. Some had screen-recorded it in real time, others captured it from uploads, and a few even enhanced the video quality to examine every single pixel. What they discovered only deepened the mystery. In some versions, the figure appeared slightly earlier. In others, it lingered just a fraction longer. How could the same moment look different depending on who recorded it? This question alone sparked an entirely new wave of speculation. Was it simply due to lag, compression, or video processing differences? Or was there something far more unusual happening, something that couldn't be easily explained by technology? The tension grew. Fans who initially dismissed the incident as a harmless glitch began to hesitate, because the more they looked, the more unsettling it became. It wasn't just about seeing something strange anymore. It was about not being able to agree on what exactly was seen. And that uncertainty was powerful. Meanwhile, Park Jimin continued with his schedule as usual. There were no signs of concern, no subtle hints, no cryptic messages that could point to an explanation. To him, it seemed like just another live session filled with laughter and connection. But to the fans, it was anything but ordinary. Some began to analyze Jimin's behavior during that exact moment. They slowed down his expressions, watched his eyes carefully, studied the way he moved. Did he pause, even for a split second? Did his expression change? Did he notice something but choose to ignore it? The conclusions were divided. A few insisted there was a brief flicker of awareness in his eyes, a subtle shift that suggested he might have sensed something. Others argued that he remained completely natural, completely unaware, making the moment even more chilling. Because if he didn't notice it, then what exactly was behind him? Theories started to become more emotional, even personal. Some fans expressed genuine fear, not because they believed in anything supernatural, but because the idea of an unknown presence appearing unnoticed felt deeply unsettling. It challenged a sense of safety, even through a screen. Others leaned into curiosity, treating it like a puzzle waiting to be solved. They mapped out the room layout based on previous lives, trying to identify possible entry points, reflections, or sources of shadow. They studied lighting angles, object placements, even the texture of the walls behind him. Every detail mattered. Every clue was examined. And yet, nothing fully explained it. One particularly intriguing observation caught attention across multiple fan communities. A few viewers claimed that the figure didn't cast a shadow consistent with the room's lighting. If true, this detail would challenge one of the simplest explanations, that it was just a shadow or reflection. But was that observation accurate, or was it influenced by the mind's tendency to see patterns, to fill in gaps, to create meaning where there might be none? Because that's the other side of this story, the psychological aspect. When millions of people watch the same clip, each with their own expectations, fears, and curiosity, the interpretation becomes as important as the event itself. What one person sees as a shadow, another might see as a figure. What one dismisses, another might amplify. And in that shared space of uncertainty, the mystery grows. As days passed, the conversation didn't die, it evolved. The focus shifted from "what was that?" to "why did it affect us this way?" Fans began reflecting not just on the moment but on their own reactions to it. Why did it feel so real? Why did it linger in their thoughts? Why did such a brief, almost invisible detail create such a strong emotional response? Perhaps because it broke the illusion of control. Live streams, especially from artists like Jimin, feel personal, predictable, safe. They are moments of connection where fans feel close, where everything seems genuine and within understanding. But this moment disrupted that feeling. It introduced the unknown, and the unknown is powerful. Then came another subtle twist that reignited the entire discussion. A fan claimed to have found a frame, just one frame, where the figure appeared clearer than ever before. Not fully visible, not completely defined, but enough to suggest a shape that was undeniably human-like. The image spread quickly. Some were convinced, others were skeptical, but everyone was talking about it again. Was this the clearest evidence yet, or just another interpretation shaped by expectation? At this point, the line between reality and perception had become blurred. The story was no longer just about what happened during that Weverse live. It was about how millions of people experienced it, processed it, and gave it meaning. And maybe that's where the real mystery lies, not in the figure itself, but in the way it brought people together, questioning, analyzing, feeling. Because even now, as you think back to that moment, there's a part of you still wondering, what if it was nothing? What if it wasn't just a trick of the light? What if, for just a second, something truly unexplainable appeared, and then vanished before anyone could fully understand it? That question remains unanswered, and perhaps that's what makes it unforgettable. And just when it seemed like the conversation had reached its peak, something even more unexpected began to happen. Fans who had initially stayed silent started coming forward, sharing their own perspectives, their own recordings, and in some cases, their own unsettling experiences while watching that exact moment. What if you weren't just watching it, but feeling it too? Several viewers described a strange sensation when the figure appeared. Not fear exactly, but a sudden shift in atmosphere. A moment where the energy of the live felt different, heavier, quieter, almost as if time itself slowed down for a split second. It's the kind of feeling that's difficult to explain, yet impossible to ignore once you've experienced it. Was it just imagination, or was there something about that moment that went beyond what the eye could see? As these accounts spread, the narrative took on a more emotional tone. This was no longer just about analyzing pixels or debating shadows. It became about perception, intuition, and the subtle ways humans react to the unknown. Fans weren't just asking, "What did we see?" anymore. They were asking, "What did we feel?" And those feelings didn't all match. Some felt curiosity, some felt excitement, but others felt uneasy. Meanwhile, the clip itself continued to evolve in the digital space. Edits became more refined, enhancements more advanced. Certain versions highlighted contrast, revealing shapes that were nearly invisible before. Others stabilized the footage, making the movement of the figure appear smoother and somehow more intentional. Intentional. That word alone changed everything. Because if something appears intentional, it suggests purpose. And if there was purpose, then what was it? Theories grew bolder. Some suggested it could have been part of a hidden project, a subtle teaser, something designed to spark exactly this kind of reaction. After all, in an era where every detail can become viral, even the smallest anomaly can turn into a global conversation. But then again, would something like this really be planned without any follow-up, without any hint, any clue, any acknowledgement? The silence from official channels remained unchanged. No clarification, no denial, just quiet. And sometimes silence speaks louder than words. As the days turned into weeks, the mystery began to take on a life of its own. It wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a story. A shared experience that connected millions of fans across different countries, languages, and perspectives. Everyone had their own version of what happened, their own interpretation, their own belief. And yet, no one had the answer. At the center of it all, Park Jimin remained unaware of the storm that had formed around that single moment. Or at least, that's what it seemed. But then a subtle detail from a later live began to circulate. During another broadcast, Jimin paused briefly, just for a second before glancing behind him. It was quick, almost unnoticeable unless you were looking for it. He smiled immediately after, continuing as if nothing had happened, but fans noticed. Of course they did. And just like that, the questions returned stronger than ever. Was it a coincidence, or was it connected? Did he remember something? Did he notice something this time, or was it simply a natural movement, interpreted through the lens of an already mysterious event? This is where the story becomes even more complex, because once a moment like this enters collective memory, every detail that follows becomes part of the narrative. Every glance, every pause, every shadow becomes significant, and that significance is shaped by belief. Some fans chose to move on, accepting that not everything needs an explanation. Others remained deeply invested, continuing to search for answers, to analyze, to question. And then there were those who found something else in this mystery, not fear, not confusion, but a strange kind of fascination. Because mysteries have a way of pulling us in. They challenge us, they make us think, they make us feel, and most importantly, they stay with us. Even now, long after that live ended, the image of that fleeting figure still lingers in the minds of those who saw it. Not clearly, not completely, but enough to be remembered, enough to be questioned, enough to be unsettling. So let me ask you one last time. If you were there, watching live, seeing that moment unfold in real time, would you have noticed it immediately, or would it have slipped past you, only to be discovered later, replayed over and over until it became impossible to forget? And if you did notice it, would you believe your own eyes, or would you convince yourself it was nothing? Because sometimes, the most chilling part of a mystery isn't what we see, it's what we're not sure we saw at all. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what makes this moment so powerful, so unforgettable, and so deeply haunting.